Executive Director of the Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth, and I would love to welcome you to episode 2 of the Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth Collab Chat. And I have the honor and pleasure of having Mandy Maloney here with me. She is the Partnership Specialist for the U.S. Census Bureau. But before we get ready to start talking to Mandy, I want to tell you guys again just a little bit about what Collab Chats is. The Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth has been for years hosting the Rome Floyd County collaborative team meetings. And with these team meetings, we meet once a month, the first Thursday of the month at our local Goodwill Career Center, and all community partners get together. And the most important thing is that we collaborate, we talk, we share resources, we share information with one another, we share the events that we have going on, we share our needs, but more importantly, we share resources. So what I wanted to bring before you today is a sort of a spin-off of the Floyd County collaborative team meetings, where we will actually be meeting face-to-face via Zoom or YouTube, any other media platform, and we will be able to get up close and personal with an organization. Now, we're not going to be asking for any gossip or anything like that, but we want to find out what is it that you guys really do, because sometimes it's very, very important for us to reintroduce our organization to the community and let them know who we were and now who we are and the new things that we're doing. But it's going to be a little bit different for Mandy today, because the U.S. Census Bureau has been around for hundreds of years. But what my important thing today is, I just want to talk to Mandy about the 2020 census. I want the community to know how valuable the 2020 census is. So like I said, welcome Mandy. Mandy, thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? This is weird. Normally we're together, so
I know.
Thank you for letting me come. I've been at a handful of your meetings before, and always so many good people in the room, so many people who do such good work in this community. So I really am just very pleased that you would let me come and speak to your folks on Collab Chats today.
Absolutely, Mandy, and I'm so glad that you said, there's so many great people that come to our meeting. But here's one thing. I bet you when you've been to the collaborative team meetings, there's been one person that you really wanted to talk to, but either they were talking to somebody else or they got out the door before you were able to tap into them. So right now, right today is the platform that we're giving everybody. If you have a question, or if you want to just find out a little bit more about what they do, this is the place to be, the Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth Collab Chat. So Mandy, it's 2020 census. Before we even go any further, tell us about your position. What do you do? Why is it important? And just give us all of the secrets. And there's not any secrets really, but just share with us about the Census Bureau and why it's here. Just fill us in.
Sure. My role, as you perfectly got, is Partnership Specialist. And what I get to do, I'm so blessed, really, this position, I feel it meets a lot of needs I have within myself to serve. So I came to this position actually from a nonprofit, very much like you, but the census is so important to us on every single day. I had no idea. I've learned so much that I really wanted to do this. I wanted to use my powers for good and not for evil, and really try and impact my community and the community next to us and the community, all of us, all my fellow Georgians, however I could. So I get to talk to people just like you, all over Northwest Georgia, and educate them on what the census is, why it's important, why we should participate, how it directly affects us. And what I love is through those conversations, I learn so much about people and their communities, and I get to see them go, I didn't know that. They get excited about learning about the way our country functions, about what the Census Bureau is, about another way for them to participate sort of in our democracy, to be counted, to have their voice heard.
Sure.
It gives them that feeling of, I never really knew just how important it was for me to count everybody in my household. So I love that. That's what I get to do. I couldn't be more pleased because I really do know that what we do now in 2020 will quite literally affect every single one of us for the next 10 years, because the census, fun fact, is done every 10 years. So every year that ends in a 0, we're going to do a census. It's called the decennial census. And that's the one that's mandated by the Constitution. It's right there in Article 1, Section 2. The Founding Fathers wanted to make sure that we knew how to count our population, and then we use those numbers for a lot of things, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But the basics is federal funding that goes back into the communities for services and programs, as well as political representation, various districts, as well as our seats in the House of Representatives.
Oh, wow.
So in 2010, Georgia gained a seat based on our census numbers, which means there was one more person at the table, one more voice representing Georgians, in Congress, and that's hugely important.
Wow, Mandy, you've shared so much with us, but I want
Sorry.
to. No. That's great because I see your passion, and that's awesome. So I want to rewind a little bit, and before, for somebody who is, they've already received their notification through the mail, or they want to do it via email. What in the world are they doing? Like, what is census? Let's start there.
Okay, so the census, like I said, is constitutionally mandated, and it's quite literally, very simply, a population count. We count every single human being, no animals or pets, who resides here in the United States. Wow. So if they're breathing, we want to count them. That's sort of, so that means everybody.
Everybody that's in the United States.
Everybody, newborns, elderly. We count folks who live in group settings, prisons or college dorms. All of the things. Wow. If there is a question, I guarantee you we can answer how you need to be counted. So that's the basic. That's what it is. It's very, very simply a population count. And then that information that we gain, once we get those numbers, determines, as I mentioned, how over $675 billion in federal funding comes back to states and communities for programs like Head Start, or Medicare or Medicaid, or school lunches, our hospitals, our fire departments, our emergency preparedness, all of those things, all of that funding and resources that we receive from the federal government is all based on our population. Oh, so that's huge. The other side of it that I touched on is we count the population, we see where folks live, and the states, not the Census Bureau, but the states then use that information to redraw districting lines. Yes. So your voting district might change or be affected. And that's not just on a federal level or a state level, that is on a local level. School boards, mayors, county commissioners, all of those lines can change based on your census data. So it really does affect who is representing you, your needs and your desire, what the issues that are important to you can be affected by the census.
Oh my goodness, Mandy. I've just been educated right now. I know I did a video, for Floyd Count, and
which we were so glad you did. You did a great job.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I was honored to do it because me as a mother, something that I stated in the video is I have a 4-year-old, and, in 10 years, he's going to be 14 years old. And the information that I shared, or me and my husband shared for our household, is going to impact him until he's 14 years old. And the mere fact that, it gave me some value, and I'm proud to be an American, that my voice, my family, whomever did it, I did it for our household. It was very easy. It took less than 5 minutes. But when I did it, I got some patriotic flair that my 3-minute count has value in the United States of America with all of the people in the United States. And you know, a lot of people might feel, you know, is my one vote, and I'm not talking about electoral votes, but is my one count going to have that much an impact on, you know, on bringing different things, community centers, you know, school lunches, different things like that. Explain to us how one vote, or I apologize, one count can make a difference.
Well, so I'm going to give you some statistics or some numbers, because as you know, a statistical agency, that's what we do here at the Census Bureau. For example, in 2010, Floyd County reported 74% of their households that were counted in the census. So self-response, you know, they were able to be counted, which means 26%, we're not 100% sure, right?
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we didn't capture that with people knocking on doors, but what we know is that 74% of people self-responded. They said, and that is the most accurate data. The best response is a self-response, and we want accurate data. So if you think about that, there is, if you know that every person that is counted brings in a certain amount of money, you know, or that equals money, you can really do the math on that. You can think about, well, what happens if 26% of our population doesn't get counted? That's literally like taking a very large chunk of money and just walking away from it on a table, you know, and that's what I want people to understand, that there is, you know, that does equate to very real funding and support for the things that we always need. I mean, if you have driven on a road at any point,
or rode a bike,
right? I mean, census information was used to inform whether we needed a road there or not, and is used to inform how often that gets fixed or updated, right? You know, if you have visited a hospital, hospitals are kind of a big deal right now. And we all want to make sure that if we need a hospital, we have access to one. Being counted means that we can take a look, not just at what's happening right now, but where we were, and project where we're going, so that we can plan for things that we need. Do we need more hospitals? Do we need more schools? Do we need more fire departments? It also means that businesses, I love the economic development side of this, that businesses who are looking to open new branches or facilities will look at our little community here and say, wow, you know, over the last 10 years, Rome gained 100,000 extra people, you know, wouldn't that be lovely? That place is jumping. We want to take our businesses, which means our jobs, you know, we want to take this there. That directly affects us, because if a huge corporation wants to move in here, that's jobs. That's quality of life. That pours more money into our local economy, which then brings more restaurants. And, you know, it's just cyclical, and everything feeds into the next thing. If that's helpful.
It does. It really helped a lot. And you know, I wrote down that we reported 74% 10 years ago. So I know in the year 2020, technology has changed, and there's more ways for you to be counted. And you know, I was able to do it online, and like I said, it took less than 5 minutes. And in the years, you know, maybe our grandparents, or you know, our parents are used to people knocking on the door and, you know, doing it that way. So in that manner, let's talk about you know, the different ways that you can make sure that you're counted.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, you can do it online. This is actually the first time ever that you are able to fill out your census online. It's very simple. As you said, I did it myself right from my smartphone, counted my family. And I have a new baby this year, so our count went up. You know, I want to make sure she's counted. She was only weeks old, but we counted her in the census because she absolutely counts. But yeah, you can go right online, my2020census.gov, most people have already received everything that they might have, that they're going to get from the Census Bureau, whether
Sure.
it's just reminder letters. You might have even gotten a paper form, and that's great. You can absolutely still do it on paper if you just prefer that, but it's super fast, super accessible, very easy. Most every single person, whether they're comfortable with the internet or not, has a smartphone. So you
Sure.
don't have to log on to it. Someone can help you with it. It's 10 very simple questions. It's very user friendly. One of our friends in Chattooga County, she was the Chattooga County Complete Count Committee, and she posted this cute graphic that said, "It's so easy, even my mom can do it." Because she was like, I didn't have to help my mom. Her mother's a little bit older. She's like, it was so easy, even my mom could do it. So I love that. But yes, you can go online, or you can call in and speak to a human, not a computer, and in your language.
That's what I was about to ask. So many
languages available. We want you to be comfortable and answer the questions right over the phone. So it's not somebody walking you through the form or giving you instructions on how to do it. You're talking right to them. They will ask you the questions. You give them the information, and you're done. It's super simple. And again, then you can do it on the phone. Now, if you're familiar, I'll go ahead and touch on, because you mentioned the enumerators, the people who knock on doors. A lot of people don't want somebody to knock on their door. That's okay. The easiest way to avoid that is to just go ahead and do your census. But we are also we have had to do some adjustments, in this land of COVID that we live in. The federal government is being so very cautious and protective of us, of their employees. They are putting our safety first and are not going to send people into a place where they could be harmed or they're going to do that very carefully and very methodically. But enumerators will still go out at this point. It's just been backed up. So normally at this point, kind of going into the summer, enumerators would already be out knocking on the doors, kind of collecting what we call non-response follow-up. But they're not doing that right now. We're waiting. Right now, that's scheduled for August for people to actually be knocking on doors. Some people right now are they're hand delivering, just like hanging census questionnaires on a doorknob in some areas where internet connectivity is not great. They're just literally going ahead and but that is a very low contact operation. So if there were a question, but somebody came out. Well, yes, there are some people doing some things, but in a very safe and methodical way. So I kind of went down a rabbit trail, but I get that question. How are you going to deal with enumerators? And really the easiest thing would be if everybody would just respond. We wouldn't have to worry about it, but we have to make sure we get an accurate count, and that will involve sending some people out at the appropriate times. So
that's good, Mandy. No, everything that you say actually leads me to a question that I've been thinking in my head as you've been talking. So,
that's the plan.
We worked it out perfectly. So we're 10 days away from the end of May. And what if someone wants to, somebody has been inspired today. They realize the importance of, the 2020 census. What can they do if they say they want to be a numerator? How can the community, how can the person that's sitting in front watching right now, hello to whoever you are, how can they get involved? And then that's one question, and then we'll flow into our next question. I want you to flow that into, two-part question. What's next after this? So how can someone get involved? And then what's next? How long is the census going to go on, considering what the United States and our country is experiencing?
Right. So enumerators have been hired. There are still opportunities. So if anyone is interested, I will admit I am not an expert on all the types of jobs and how many and where, but it's all on 2020census.gov/jobs. And that will have all the operational updates. That will tell you, when you click and go on, if there's positions available, all of that. So if you're interested in a job, definitely check it out. Don't think that it's too late or that the time frame is over or that you missed a window, because this is a very large operation. Things are changing rapidly. We're all trying to pivot and turn. And so who knows?
And they can really, even if they don't want to apply for a job, they can possibly just ask their neighbor, have you made sure that you've done your census?
Well, that was my next thing. The
Okay.
thing that I really love to see is what people are doing in their communities. Everybody has their circle, their sphere of influence, whether it's just their family or it's their Bible study or their book club or their parents group or, you know, the T-ball moms, or, you know, you serve at the soup kitchen, or, you know, everybody has that circle of people. And even though we aren't always standing in front of each other anymore, we are so connected digitally right now that it's almost easier to send a quick text or share a post and say, I did this. Have you done this? I'm challenging you to do this. Make sure you've done this. You know, I'm going to talk to 10 people, and I want you to talk to 10 people. And really, really focusing on those communities that can be harder to count. The areas, you know, maybe they don't have internet access, or maybe they don't speak the language, or maybe they don't have the education level to understand. You know, if you've heard something today and you learned something, it's only useful if you apply it. You know, knowledge shouldn't just be kept in our brains. Let's share it, right? So that's the biggest way I think people can make a difference. And that's what I love about the census in and of itself. So much of it is very grassroots. It's communities sort of knowing what's at stake and taking it upon themselves to really put in a lot of effort and time. You know, as much or as little as they're able, and everybody's able to do things, but really when they sort of grab the bull by the horns and know that they're driving the truck of their own destiny, that you know, that they will reap those rewards, you know, almost very quickly. And I love that about what I get to do and about how the census functions. The Census Bureau absolutely encourages and thrives on people like you and me taking it upon ourselves to activate their groups and to share the message. So
you know, you gave me a challenge for next week. You know, with the Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth, we've been doing different weekly challenges, family fun night. So next week I'm gonna do a census challenge, and I'm gonna get with you so we can figure out how to make sure.
We could plan, because I have some things that you could use to raffle off or whatever. So that would be great. But I don't want to forget your extra question.
Yes. What's next?
The dates, a lot of things have been backed up. The operation is going to last longer than it normally does. Right now, everything is kind of set to hopefully be wrapped up around October 31st.
Okay.
So you may have seen in the news, normally in a census year, the Census Bureau wraps Census Day as April 1st, and then everything is collected and put together and presented to the president by December 31st of that year. That has been bumped back. It's now April of next year, which means that the states, you know, once the president gets the data only, he gets all the statistics, then that gets released to the states, you know, at a different time after that. So the states won't have the information to start doing the redistricting or the things that they do with it until a little bit later. And that does affect some people. You know, that conversation will come up, especially because we are in an election year. It will be on the top of folks' minds. So I'm happy to always answer any questions about that.
That'll be good. So I am so excited. I know our time is coming to an end. I want to honor and value your time because I know you do have a little one, but
I do. I hope you haven't heard her screeching.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was my little boy. So, you know, who knows? We have a great community. But thank you so much, Mandy, for joining us. You know, I love the motto of the U.S. Census Bureau, and it's shape your future, start here.
Yep.
You know, and I'm just thinking, you know, today and in the months past, you know, with the census, shaping our future starts with making sure that everybody in your household is counted. And something that I just really, really place a lot of value on is today, you know, I made sure, you know, and when I say today, I mean 2020, I made sure that my husband and my son was counted. But 40, 50, 60, 70 years from now, you know, the mere fact that I made sure that he was counted has an impact 20, 30, 40, 50 years, because he's going to become, you know, someone's dad, and then he'll eventually become someone's grandfather. And those numbers, those counts, then and now, have an impact. So Mandy, what
you've got it.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I'm here. You could have done this all by yourself. Listen to you.
No, I need you to share us your expertise. So, but Mandy, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you all so much for joining us to the Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth Collab Chat. We will be back with you in 2 weeks for episode 3 of Collab Chats, and we hope that if you have any questions, Mandy, how can they get in touch with you?
You can always call me, 678-342-3252. That's my phone number on the internet. Or you can email me, amanda.n.maloney@2020census.gov.
And there's also a Facebook page. You guys just did a parade last week, but can you share just a little bit about the Facebook page?
Well, and that's our local effort. That's Count Floyd County, who is really trying to make sure that everyone in Floyd County is counted. So there is, on Facebook, you can search Count Floyd County, and that's the local Complete Count Committee's Facebook page. And there's, you can get a newsletter, and you can find out all of the things that's happening with the census, and you know how you can be involved and see. We've got people who've taken a selfie with their picture. You know, they're saying, I think you did that too, LaDonna. Didn't you? You know, I did mine. I challenge you. There's a lot of fun things to engage with there. So that's a great way to find out information as well.
So look forward to the challenge next week. Me and Mandy will get together and see if we can work something out within the next week or so to make sure that we do a Count Floyd County count. So thank you guys so much for joining us with the Rome Floyd County Commission on Children and Youth Collab Chat. We'll see you in 2 weeks.